fair to say that everything is just better with sprinkles, right? Yeah. And our next guest is putting a fun spin on a classic recipe with her confetti Italian cookies. Please welcome to our home for the first time, Tina Zaccardi. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you.
So excited to have you. Joining Cam at the counter for these adorable little bites is Paigey and Ken. You guys dig in. These are really
guys.
This is a twist on the classic Italian. We're going to get into that in just a second. Now, this is your first time here baking in our kitchen.
It is.
But this isn't your first time baking on television. Oh, no. As a matter of fact, Tina, you just won a pretty cool competition on TV, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I won the Great American Baking Show, Holiday Edition, Season 4. Thank you.
Yes, and she beat out a lot of people. How many people?
There were 10 bakers in all.
10 bakers.
10
None of them
bakers.
were classically trained.
None of us.
So she officially has the best baking recipes in the country, according to them, of any home cook or home baker. So
that's
cool.
it.
I think what probably sold them is the fact that you make your own almond paste.
That must be it.
This is cool.
Easiest thing to do.
And people don't realize.
No, they don't. And it's fresher and it's less expensive than buying it at the store.
And how do you make it?
It's very easy, but we're going to jump right in, I guess, and
Let's
make the
do it.
cookies.
Okay, so here's your
these
almond
cookies
paste.
are made with almond paste
Okay.
and some sugar, and we're going to put a little pinch of salt in there.
Okay, now I know it's very important to pulse all of this and get it going.
Right, we're going to...
There we go. First, we've got to turn it on.
There we
Then
go.
pulse it.
We're going to keep pulsing until this gets really smooth and fine. So we don't want any lumps of almond paste in our cookies.
Okay, and you always say use a food processor, not a stand mixer to make this.
Most of the cookies that are made with almond paste, they tell you to use a mixer.
Right.
And I found that that doesn't come quite as fine. So I said, you know what? Let's try using a food processor. And it came a lot finer, and it just solved the problem.
Right.
So, yeah.
Also, approaches like that is what wins contests.
There you go.
Okay, now some whipped butter.
Next thing, some butter, very softened butter, because we want it to get mixed up really smooth. So we're going to pulse this again until it's very smooth.
Okay, so another
Beautiful.
one of the key things when making these confetti cookies is to pulse in between quite a bit.
Yes, absolutely. You want this part of the batter to be very smooth. We're going to add our 3 whole eggs, and we're going to add a tablespoon.
Sort of like what you're doing is what you're saying, Deb? Like you put a little bit in, you pulse.
Put it in and pulse.
And the reason why is because you want it to make sure it's all
Smooth.
Yeah, all
Perfect.
smooth.
Yep, that
There we
looks
go.
really great.
Okay, now we stop that.
We're going to stop that.
All right. Oh, look at that.
Isn't it
Already,
look
that's
beautiful? Right? Oh.
Now we just take this out,
Take
take
that
the little
out.
blade out, and we're going to put this in our bowl, and we're going to start to fold in our flour. Now tell us about the flour.
The flour is cake flour. The reason I'm using cake flour is we want this batter to be a little tender, and cake flour has like a distinctive flavor that's going to make this taste like your favorite birthday cake.
Isn't that nice?
So if you use regular flour, it wouldn't have that kind of birthday cakey sort of taste? Is that
No, it won't.
Interesting. I thought it was just
There we
the
go.
fineness.
And if we don't have cake flour at home, you have a pretty cool hack on how to make
Yes,
the cake
if you don't have cake flour at home, it's so easy to make your own. For every cup of all-purpose flour, you remove 2 tablespoons of it, and you substitute 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Sift it about 2 or 3 times, get it nice and mixed together, and you're in
There you go.
business.
You're in
And no
business.
trip to the supermarket.
Right, so don't think you have to go buy a different sort of flour. You can make it for sure.
Right.
Okay, so now again, when we're folding in our dry ingredients, we go very gingerly.
Very gently. We don't want to develop the gluten, which is why we're using cake flour. It has less protein in it than all-purpose flour.
So you
for
couldn't use this in a
particular
mixer
cookie.
either?
No, you wouldn't want to. It'll just get way over mixed.
It'll start to be tough.
Correct, and we can add our.
And now
this
here's
is
our
the
sprinkles.
Best part, the sprinkles.
There you go.
I'm in science class.
I know.
Baking is the science.
It really
Yes.
is. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, my mother and my sister are the bakers in my family. I'm the home cook. I can cook just about anything. The baking, I was never great at science.
So you're a little of this, a little of that. Yeah.
Because cooking is way loosey-goosey. And you can say,
Well,
well,
you can add anything to cooking.
You start to do that with baking, and it becomes like the volcano in science class. Yeah, it doesn't really quite turn out right. All right.
So we've got our flour, we've got our sprinkles in there, and we are going to put it into a greased and lined with parchment paper baking sheet. Parchment paper is great because it will help you get that layer out when you're
Okay.
done baking.
Right, so you're not scraping it off the
Correct.
bottom. This itself just looks like so much fun. How fun is this to do with your
It's
kids?
a
too,
lot.
you
This
know?
is a great recipe to do with the kids.
Gosh, my kids would go
I
bomb.
know.
And who
In
doesn't?
the cake?
And who doesn't love sprinkles?
If you need someone to lick that spoon, just let me
Well,
know.
I'm going to bring it over to you in just a second. There you go, guys. Nothing wrong with licking the bowl.
Thank you.
That's the fun part. And so you make this pretty thin.
Pretty thin, yes. You want it thin. You're going to have 3 layers. So you get it as even as you can.
Okay. And then we put it in the oven, and because it is so thin, it bakes very quickly.
Very quickly. We're going to put it in a preheated 350-degree oven for 12 to 14 minutes. I would start checking at about 12 minutes. Everybody knows their own oven, whether it cooks fast, cooks slow, and start checking. If it lightly springs back when you press it, you're in business.
Ready to go.
So here we
12
go.
to 14 minutes, 350.
There we go.
There we go. And then we pop it out, and we let it cool for a second and cut it into 3 equally sized pieces. Okay.
Wow.
Okay?
Now we start to build. So
adorable.
this
Start
is
to
gonna be
build.
fun.
Just adorable the way it is.
I know.
We've got some chocolate buttercream here, just a regular American buttercream. If you don't want to make it, it's perfectly acceptable to buy it.
Okay.
Don't go crazy.
All right.
So we're going to
Just
take
whatever's easiest.
Correct. So we're going to take about half of this.
You know, I love a homemade icing, but I'm not gonna lie. Something about those canned icings.
Right?
Yes.
I don't know if it's the nostalgia of it, but
be the
something
It probably
about
is.
it that I go,
Absolutely.
wow, that taste is still good. It reminds me of,
Right.
you know, before people were making their own icings.
For me, it's just being able to cut out a step. I mean, it just
Right,
makes it a little bit more
exactly.
doable.
I mean, but you know, you're making your homemade icing. You know what's in it. It's all natural ingredients. Some of the stuff, you're like, well, what's in this? It tastes good, but I'm not sure it's good for you.
And
Okay.
don't be crazy about getting it absolutely perfect on the edges because you can always trim off the edges before
Okay.
you cut your square. So
And you're
there's-
not worried about breaking that? I'm like, you just picked it
No.
up.
Look, it's pretty dense.
It's good.
Wow.
It's good.
And it's interesting. Is it a cookie? Is it a cake?
It's a cake.
Yeah.
It's a cookie. It's a cookie cake.
There you go.
There we go.
So then we just smear that all around with our spatula or the back of a spoon. If you don't have one of these offset
That's right.
spatulas, that's totally fine. And now we have to put this in the refrigerator for a few hours. Why do we do that?
Okay. We want it to set, and we also want to wrap it up really good in foil and place a weight on it. I've been known to use those round weights for my son's dumbbells. They work out perfectly. So we're just going to wrap these up, and we are going to put a weight on it. And you can leave it out if for longer. To keep it longer, you could put it in the fridge, which is what we're going to today.
Okay. So 3 hours, you said?
About 3 to 4 hours. Overnight is optimal, but 3 or 4 hours will work just fine.
Okay. And then we
We
unwrap and we start to cut.
Yep.
Oh, do we
Right
put
on
the chocolate on first?
Yes, we're
That's
going to put
good.
the chocolate on first.
Okay.
Wow.
There we go.
Yeah.
Looks like a
Beautiful.
sandwich.
Look at that.
All right, so now we start putting the chocolate on.
Okay.
And while you put the chocolate on, I'm gonna bring out the finished product just for sake of time, because then after the chocolate goes on and the sprinkles, then we chop it up into tiny little cubes like
squares.
Does it have to go back in the fridge after you do that?
After we put the milk chocolate on, I would put it back in the fridge for
Oh, you
maybe
would?
5 to 10 minutes just so the chocolate sets up.
Oh, I see.
So yummy.
Is that any specific chocolate?
It's just melted milk chocolate, any brand that you like, and this is the best part.
More sprinkles. I know the best part. The best part is having a taste, Debbie. Go ahead
we
and have
go.
a taste.